Chapter 26-24. Compared to Shi Xuexin, Wu Dong was naturally more inclined towards Tanguo. Hence, he said, Shi Xuexin went to deliver something to Sir. She just left. Is that so? Wu Dong saw Tanguo's expression change slightly. He thought that she would definitely go to see Yan Wei and heaved a sigh of relief. Miss Tang was so perfect. Sir wouldn't like Shi Xuexin more, right? That was the daughter of Sir's enemy. If Sir was really moved, it wouldn't be good for him. It was better to let Miss Tang go. Perhaps when Miss Tang came back, Sir wouldn't have that kind of feelings for Shi Xuexin. I haven't seen Mr. Yan in a long time. Butler, can you tell the kitchen to prepare something for Mr. Yan? It will be noon in an hour. Mr. Yan should be having lunch. Wu Dong was naturally happy and quickly went to arrange it. The kitchen was busy for more than 20 minutes. Finally, a lunch box was sent out. Wu Dong remembered that Tanguo probably hadn't eaten yet. He asked, Miss Tang, do you want to eat something before going over? Actually, he knew that Tanguo couldn't eat before going over. Sure enough, Tanguo refused. With Tanguo's face, she naturally went to the Yan Corporation without any obstructions. In the end, she was invited to Yan Wei's office. Just as the assistant was about to knock, the office door opened. The person who walked out wasn't Yan Wei, but Shi Xuexin. Shi Xuexin's face was pale and she couldn't walk steadily. Her face and eyes were quite tired. She didn't even seem to notice that Tanguo was beside her. Shi Xuexin. Tanguo called. Shi Xuexin thought that she was hallucinating and didn't pay attention at first. Later, she looked up blankly. The moment she saw Tanguo, her gray eyes lit up. Miss Tang, is that you? Miss Tang, are you back? Yes. Shi Xuexin didn't know if it was because she saw Tanguo, but she was much more energetic. She should have fainted outside Yan Wei's office, but she didn't. She saw the lunchbox in Tanguo's hand and pursed her lips. Miss Tang, are you here to deliver food? Did that vicious dog need to eat? Coffee would be fine. Yes. Then, Miss Tang, I'll go back first. Wait for me downstairs. We'll go back together. Shi Shua thought that she came here by bus. According to the current situation, she didn't want to squeeze in the bus. She had a terrible headache and felt a little dizzy. Perhaps it was because of their previous interactions that she trusted Tanguo very much. She quickly nodded. I'll wait for you downstairs. Tanguo pushed open the door of the office. Yan Wei was not surprised by Tanguo's arrival. He enjoyed this lunch very much. I saw that there was something wrong with Shi Xuexin's complexion. She looked like she was sick. Tanguo mentioned it casually. As for why she mentioned it, of course, it was because she wanted Yan Wei to have compassion and feel sorry for Shi Xuexin. Wouldn't it be more interesting if Yan Wei was tempted and Shi Xuexin was not? She pursed her lips lightly, but she was trying to control the corners of her mouth from rising. Shi Xuexin hated Yan Wei to the core. I see that she's very energetic. Why is Xiaoguo suddenly worried about her? Yan Wei thought that Tanguo was jealous and said this just to see his reaction. He still had to give her face. How could he care about the life and death of that woman outside? Chapter 26-25. She was the daughter of his enemy, and they would always be enemies. It's just that she doesn't look right. She kept falling down when she walked. Since Mr. Yan doesn't mind, I won't mention it anymore. She's an adult. If she's really sick, she should know to find a doctor or take medicine. The truth was that Shi Xuexin, who was deliberately targeted by Yan Wei, didn't even have the chance to buy medicine or see a doctor. She was extremely busy all day. If she wasn't serving Yan Wei, she was bullied by the other servants in the manor to do all kinds of chores. With Yan Wei's tacit approval, everyone in the manor didn't want her to have an easy time. After hearing Tangua's words, Yan Wei was indeed reminded of Shi Shuoxin's pale little face. No matter how he tortured her, she didn't resist and obediently did as he said. But today, Shi Shuoxin did look a little strange. Thinking of her increasingly thin body, Yan Wei couldn't help but frown. Especially when she was in front of him, no matter what kind of grievances she suffered, she would be so obedient and never beg for mercy. This made him feel like he had punched cotton and he was very unhappy. But very quickly, the pity he had for Shi Shuoxin dissipated. This was the daughter of his enemy. How could he feel pity for her? He chuckled and looked at Tangua, who was sitting upright and always looking at him with such clean and serious eyes. Even if he didn't have much feelings for Tangua, Shi Shuoxin couldn't compare to her. If this manor needed a mistress, it would definitely be Tangua and not the daughter of the Shi family. The Shi family would never be important in his heart. Where else do you want to hold the exhibition? I'll ask Wudong to arrange it for you. As soon as he said this, he saw Tangua's eyes light up. Then, she maintained her indifferent look. Thank you, Mr. Yen, but I don't need it for now. During this exhibition, I got to know many people in the same field and listened to many people's opinions. I want to spend some time painting something new. When the new painting is done, I'll do it. Alright, it's done. I'll get someone to arrange it for you. Let's try to make it big. At this time, Yan Wei had already forgotten about Shi Shuoxin. This well-behaved woman in front of him had always been so obedient. He did not mind giving her the best things. Shi Shuoxin had been waiting downstairs. Actually, she didn't like to stay in a place with Yan Wei's aura. Therefore, she did not choose to sit and wait on the first floor. Instead, she chose to walk out of the door and wait outside. Even though it wasn't winter, the weather in April was still a little cool, especially today's weather. There was no sun at all, and dark clouds covered the sky. Most importantly, she had a fever and was probably seriously ill. Her head was dizzy, and even though she tried her best to keep her eyelids open, she still couldn't hold on. Her whole body went limp on the ground, and she finally fainted. The moment she fainted, she vaguely saw a figure walking towards her. His slow steps became slightly more urgent. Seeing Tangua instructing the bodyguards to carry Shi Shuoxin into the car, the system complained, "Host, this time, the hero saving the damsel in distress is not Yan Wei, but you. I feel that the two of them won't be together. It'll be a miracle if they succeed." Tangua looked at Shi Shuoxin, whose face had turned red, and ordered, "Go to the hospital." Chapter 26-26. After suffering so much, if Shi Shuoxin could still be coaxed by Yan Wei in the future, she deserved it. Little system, help me check on the Shi family and see if Shi Shuoxin has the ability to make a comeback. The system quickly agreed. Was the host intending to train this bull to do things for it? The Shi family. The Shi family was quite big and was doing well. The prerequisite was that the old man and the other mother and daughter had to be removed from power. Could Shi Shuoxin do it? He was still doubtful, but it was possible that this woman had a lot of potential. For example, he loved the host. Who knew that the innocent and adorable person would become like this today? Stop thinking, stop thinking. Work hard. Don't think about the past. Work hard to help the host was the most important thing. When Shi Shuoxin woke up, the smell of disinfectant wafted to her nose. The white blanket on her made her realize where she was. She instinctively looked to the side and saw Tangua sitting on the chair, looking down at her phone. From the side of her face, she could tell that she was in a good mood. When she fainted, it wasn't a hallucination. Tang Guo was walking towards her. Miss Tang, thank you. Tang Guo looked up. Since you're sick, you should get treatment soon. Shi Xuexin didn't refute and only felt warmth in her heart. Even if so many people treated her badly, bullied her, and humiliated her, there was still one person who cared about her. Even if that person looked cold, at least he was willing to send her to the hospital and not wait for her to die. This world didn't seem so bad. Not everyone was as bad as Yan Wei and the people in the manor. Look at Miss Tang, who grew up in the same environment. She was different. Anyway, thank you. If not for Miss Tang, no one would care if I died. No, if you died on the streets, someone would call the emergency services. If you died, they would take you away. If you stay where you are, you'll rot. Not only will you spread viruses and scare people, but you'll also affect the city's appearance. Miss Tang, I'm a patient now. Then you should rest well and recover quickly. Those people in the manor are rough. Come back and help me dry the paintings. Before Shi Xuexin could say anything, Tang Guo had already walked out of the ward. I've hired a nurse for you. She'll do whatever you need. Shi Xuexin watched as Tang Guo left. She wanted to stop her, but it seemed that she had no right to stop her and let her talk to her for a while. No matter what, Miss Tang was a good person. At night, Yan Wei came back. Suddenly, she realized that something was missing from the manor. She didn't even feel like eating. She suddenly remembered that Shi Xuexin seemed to be missing. He didn't care if Tang Guo was in front of him. He called Wu Dong over and asked directly, "Where's that woman?" Wu Dong hesitated for a moment before whispering, "Sir, Shi Shui has a heart attack. She's in the hospital now." He even went to the hospital. Yan Wei was a little unhappy. Clearly, he suspected that Shi Xuexin was pretending to be sick. Wu Dong hurriedly explained, "It was Miss Tang who told me about this." Yan Wei looked at Tang Guo. "What happened to Shi Xuexin?" "When I left the company in the afternoon, I found Shi Xuexin unconscious outside the company. She looked like she was dying, so I sent her to the hospital." Yan Wei frowned. "Is it that serious?" She had already fainted. He didn't suspect that Shi Xuexin was pretending. That woman had suffered so much before and didn't pretend. He didn't know why, but he actually felt a little anxious. Chapter 26-27. Yan Wei's face remained calm as he asked casually, "How is she doing?" Tang Guo's lips curled up slightly, but it disappeared in a flash. Her expression returned to normal as she stated calmly, "From the results of the doctor's examination, it's not good." Yan Wei's heart skipped a beat when he heard this. Not good? How was it not good? Could it be that it was already that serious? Is she seriously ill? No. Tang Guo shook her head and explained directly this time, "She hasn't had enough rest for a long time. She doesn't get enough sleep, doesn't eat on time, and doesn't have enough nutrition. Her body is gradually exhausted and her immune system is declining. It's easy for her to catch a cold. There's nothing wrong with her now, but the doctor said that if this continues, it's hard to guarantee that she won't get a terminal illness in the future. For example, stomach cancer. Or, it's possible that he died suddenly." While Tang Guo was talking, Yan Wei was imagining the serious consequences in his mind. One day, that annoying woman would disappear from this manor. She would die and disappear in this manner. He also recalled the previous few times when Shi Xuexin's pale cheeks had been enduring pain. Sometimes, he would inadvertently find that she was holding her stomach in pain. Just like today, when she appeared in his office, her steps were unsteady and she looked like she was in a trance. No matter what he did to her, she looked like she was at his mercy. The more he thought about it, the more his heart ached. Tang Guan noticed Yan Wei's expression and almost threw up the food she had just eaten. Why didn't he think of this when he was rubbing her? Disgusting. After that, Yan Wei hurried back to the study and pulled up all the surveillance cameras in the manor. For the first time, he was frantically looking for a woman in the surveillance cameras. When he finished watching the recent surveillance videos, which showed how the people in the manor bullied Shi Shuoxin, he angrily punched the desk. Dear host, that man was watching the surveillance cameras in the manor. Now that he saw Shi Shuoxin being bullied, he was very angry and punched the table. Now, he had called Wu Dong into the study and ordered him to drive away all the people who bullied Shi Shuoxin in the manor and let Wu Dong arrange for new people to come in. Is your heart aching now? What were you doing before? If it weren't for his connivance, who in this manor would dare to bully Shi Shuoxin? This kind of scumbag really knew how to clear his name. He was clearly the one who connived and punished his subordinates. How could he erase the fact that he was the one who initiated the harm? Dear host, Yan Wei walked out of the study room and didn't return to his room. He even asked Wu Dong to prepare a car. He should be going to see Shi Shuoxin. The system was a little worried. Dear host, would Shi Shuoxin be coaxed by his actions? If we're coaxed by him this time, we won't care about her anymore. Seeing that Tang Guo didn't seem to care, the system naturally didn't care. He was on his great host's side. It was Shi Shuoxin's fortune to not be coaxed by that scumbag. She had great host support. If she was really coaxed by a scumbag, that would be her fate. No matter what happened in the future, it would be her choice. There was nothing wrong with that. Yan Wei hurried to the hospital. When he arrived at the door of the ward, he secretly looked inside. Seeing that Shi Shuoxin was asleep, he walked in. Looking at Shi Shuoxin's thin cheeks, his heart ached even more. Wu Dong looked at the situation and sighed in his heart. Sir really cared about this woman. Chapter 26-28. Wu Dong didn't understand. How could Shi Shuoxin compare to Miss Tang? She was the daughter of Mr. Tang's enemy. They should be enemies. How could Shi Shuoxin enter Mr. Tang's heart? If she hadn't entered his heart, would Mr. Tang ask him to deal with the people in the manor and secretly visit Shi Shuoxin in the middle of the night? Miss Tang had been by Mr. Tang's side for so many years. If Mr. Tang really wanted to be with Shi Shuoxin in the future, Miss Tang would lose her status. Compared to the otherworldly Miss Tang of the past, he liked the current Miss Tang who was as smart as snow and knew when to advance and retreat. If no one else intervened, Miss Tang should be the mistress of the manor in the future. Now, it was probably impossible. Wu Dong couldn't change Yan Wei's mind. He just felt that it was a pity. At this time, Wu Dong's pitiful Tang Guo was chatting with her purchasing agent. By sure, Miss Tang, have you gone home? Tang Guo, I'll be back at noon. By sure, I've already shipped the things you bought. They should arrive tomorrow. Tang Guo, okay, I won't go anywhere tomorrow. Seeing this, Bai Shuo smiled. It's getting late. Miss Tang, you should go to bed early. Although he wanted to talk to her more, it didn't seem appropriate and there was no time. Bai Shuo stared at the phone screen in a daze. There was a hint of disappointment on his handsome face. It was strange. He had never been so interested in a girl since he was a child. And this girl was someone else's woman. He shook his head and put down the phone. Brother Bai, it's about to start. You're shaking your head and sighing. Did something happen? Are you okay today? I'm fine. Bai Shuo cheered up and let the makeup artist put on his makeup. He put the previous matter aside for the time being. He was indeed a purchasing agent. However, he had stopped doing this for a long time. Under him, there was a team that was responsible for purchasing goods on his behalf. He did start out as a purchasing agent. Later, he used the money he earned to start another career. However, he had never given up on being a purchasing agent. It was just that he let his team do most of the work. Now, his main job was to sell goods live. Tonight happened to be the day of his live broadcast. He had already gathered a large number of products, all of which were sent by the brand and carefully selected by his team to work with. The brands did this mainly for publicity and to open up channels. They would give a lot of discounts to the viewers of the live broadcast. Since he entered this industry, there was a rule. Oh. To put it simply, he was helping the brand sell things through the live stream. He collected service fees and commission, and the money he earned was many times more than buying things on a commission basis. As for the things he bought on behalf of others, they were either limited overseas brands or some niche products. Most of the people who joined his circle were also rich madams and daughters of wealthy families. Therefore, very few people in the outside world knew that he was also a purchasing agent. He recalled the information that he had investigated previously. Miss Tang seemed to like bags and perfume very much, and her mother liked them even more than her, when the assistant knew about this matter. Originally, he didn't understand why Bai Shuo still wanted to be a purchasing agent when he was earning so much more than many big stars. Chapter 26-29. Later on, he accidentally discovered a secret. This was because Brother Bai's circle of friends were all rich ladies from the upper class. The things they bought were not only for themselves, but also for their husbands and boyfriends. Usually, when they needed something and did not want to go out themselves, they would make a list and ask Bai Shuo to do it. Then, Bai Shuo would hand this matter over to the person in charge of the team. Basically, they would go abroad 3 times a month. These 3 times, they might go to several countries at once. These rich ladies liked the limited edition products sold in certain countries, and they were very difficult to get. It was possible that the service fee was half of the product. At the same time, they would also bring some other products. Relatively speaking, it was indeed much cheaper than in China, and it was also very popular. Great host, great host. Tang Guo was playing with her phone when the system's voice suddenly sounded. The anxious tone made her very surprised. What's wrong? Did something happen with Shuaxin? Could it be that Shuaxin really did not change her personality and was moved by Yan Wei, and even fell in love with Yan Wei? Logically speaking, it should not be. Was her analysis wrong? Great host, I discovered a secret. It's about your cutie. Do you know what else he does besides being a purchasing agent? What? Hearing that it was Bai Shuo, Tang Guo was curious. She knew that he was definitely not a simple purchasing agent. Great host, go to a shopping live stream and take a look. He is now rich every minute. The system almost drooled in envy. It looked at those people as if they had gone crazy. The moment the product links appeared, they were all snatched up like bandits. Tang Guo followed the system's guidance and opened a live stream. Sure enough, she saw Bai Shuo's figure. He was not like before, dressed casually and had a bit of a ruffian's temperament. In this live stream, Bai Shuo was dressed properly and looked even more handsome. He was holding a watch in his hand and introducing it to the audience in the live stream. Unsurprisingly, this was a very big luxury watch. Today's live stream event was, of course, a lot less than usual. Moreover, it was a limited supply, and there were also free gifts. The gift of a luxury watch was naturally a diamond ring, a gold pendant, and the like. Tang Guo looked at the watch that Bai Shuo was exaggerating. There were already many people yelling at him to hurry up and upload the link. Is that watch really that good? Tang Guo asked. Even I want to buy it. Madam Host, I just checked. Although this watch is not very popular, it is indeed a good luxury item. Whether it was the workmanship or the details, they were all perfect. He was right. Actually, you see, a lot of people are here for the freebies. The freebies from the brand seem to be quite good. I checked just now, and this is a gift that Baishuo fought for the fans in the live broadcast room. This time, the main purpose of the brand was to promote these free gifts. This was because they had already entered the jewelry industry, and this was the product they were promoting. If he bought a watch, it would be a gift. When everyone received it, if they liked it, word of mouth would definitely spread. According to the original situation, the brand's plan was to directly advertise and sell it. Then, they would use this to find Baishuo to promote it. Baishuo gave them this idea. Moreover, there were really a lot of rich people in Baishuo's live streaming room. Chapter 26:30. He really knows how to make money. Tang Guo looked at the decreasing inventory. There were so many rich people in this world. She really didn't know that a group of rich people were waiting in Baishuo's circle of friends. What the rich people cared about was not whether the product was expensive or not, but whether it was rare, whether it was of high quality, and whether it would be embarrassing to wear it out. According to Baishuo in the live broadcast, there were only 1,000 models of the free gift this time. In the future, no matter how much money you had, you wouldn't be able to buy the same model. Moreover, there were several models in this 1,000. Tang Guo saw that the link had been taken down. It should be all sold out. It was hard to imagine that a luxury watch, even if there were only 1,000 copies, would be sold out in a minute. She opened the other live broadcast rooms and glanced at them. She found that not all the fans were so rich. It seemed that Baishuo's fans were the richest. She narrowed her eyes. It seemed that this man was very capable. He even brought in his own customers. Later, Baishuo sold other products. They were all famous brands. It was nothing more than some cosmetics, bags, jewelry, and the like. At the same time, he also sold some things that men liked, electronic products. Sometimes, men were more generous than women. They were very willing to spend money to buy electronic products that they liked. Just like the camera he sold before. According to the system's data, most of the customers were men. System, host, don't worry. Your cutie not only has female fans, but also many male fans. Every day, there were male fans asking his studio about some strange electronic products. They also asked him to help them assemble computers. He was so busy. On the other hand, the female fans were most concerned about the discounts. They only wanted to save money. Your cutie only wanted to earn some money from them. Tang Guo. She wasn't jealous. The more the system thought about it, the more it thought. Tang Guo found that after 10 o'clock, Baishuo sold some high-tech electronic products. Most of the people in the live broadcast room were also men. System, those women said that they want to go back to sleep. They don't want to play with these stinky men. He knew what the host was thinking. Baishuo didn't go offline until 12 o'clock. Tang Guo looked at his live broadcast time. He only broadcasted twice a week. It was reported that he and his team would choose products for the rest of the time, talk about cooperation with brands, and occasionally have other activities or rest time. In the morning, Tang Guo went downstairs and saw Yan Wei coming back. She raised her eyebrows. Yan Wei stayed in the hospital for the whole night. She didn't ask, but Yi Yamei was a little cautious. However, she didn't ask further and just kept her doubts to herself for the time being. Yan Wei ate his breakfast and left the manor. Yi Yamei pulled Tang Guo back to the room. She didn't want to go shopping today. Xiao Guo, do you know why Mr. Yen went out last night? I don't know. Tangwa shook her head. Logically speaking, she really didn't know. Maybe something happened at the company and it needs to be dealt with urgently. Mom, you don't have to worry about this. Mr. Yen will take care of it. Didn't you go shopping with someone? 2. Yi Yume was comforted and quickly nodded. That's true. I'll go out then. Yi Yume was relieved to see Tangwa at ease in the manor. Chapter 26:31. Butler, there seems to be a lot of new faces in the manor. Tangwa asked even though she already knew the answer. Wu Dong explained with a smile, they were slacking off and were seen by Mr. Yen. Of course, we can't let them stay. Oh, I see. Tangwa looked at the thermal lunch box in Wu Dong's hand. Butler, who are you sending this to? Wu Dong knew that lying was useless when he saw Tangwa's bright eyes. Mr. Yen wasn't used to sending food to the company. It's Miss Shi. He changed the way he addressed her. Mr. Yen instructed you. Wu Dong nodded. Yes. Actually, those people in the manor were chased away because of Shi Shuashin, right? She should understand now. It would be too fake to pretend to be ignorant. Wu Dong sighed. Miss Tang, this is Mr. Yan's idea. No one can stop Mr. Yan's idea. Don't be sad, Miss Tang. Maybe Mr. Yan is just curious. After this novelty, everything will be gone. Miss Tang, no matter what, you shouldn't make Mr. Yan angry. You should know his temper. This was half a warning and half a reminder. After all, he was leaning towards Miss Tang in terms of relationships. I'll go with you. I was the one who sent her to the hospital yesterday. Wu Dong couldn't stop her and agreed. In the afternoon, the two of them went to the hospital together. Shi Shuashin smiled when she saw Tangwa. She was even more touched when she saw the thermal lunch box in Wu Dong's hand. She had already said that Miss Tang was beautiful and kind-hearted. She had even specially brought her food. Miss Tang was such a good person. That bastard took her and even wanted to fall in love with someone else. He was indeed a shameless bastard. That evil dog even pretended to sit by her bed last night and said that he would give her justice. He even said that he knew that the people in the manor had bullied her and that he had already sent people to deal with it. Such things wouldn't happen again. She had a feeling that the wolf was thinking about how to cook her and eat her up. The people in the manor weren't the only ones who had hurt her. Wasn't he the main culprit? Now that he punished the others, he was trying to clear his name. Seriously, how shameless. Disgusting. Scumbag. Pervert. He even pretended to be deep in thought, as if he was moved by her. How disgusting. Miss Tang, have you eaten? I've already eaten. Oh, then I won't be polite. Shi Shuashin ate her food quickly, not caring about her sorry state. Wu Dong saw that the two of them didn't quarrel and heaved a sigh of relief. He still had things to do, so he could only leave first. Taking advantage of this moment, Shi Shuashin looked at Tangguo with eyes full of pity. Miss Tang, there are some things that I shouldn't say, but you're so good to me. If I don't say it, I'll feel bad. What is it? Shi Shuashin observed Tangguo's expression. Seeing that there was no change, she became angry. He actually said that he would help me uphold justice. Shi Shuashin suddenly felt that it wasn't right to express herself like this. Miss Tang, please don't misunderstand. I'm not showing off to you. I'm really disgusted by his behavior. I don't like him at all. I hate him so much. I will never like such a person in my life. I'm just saying this to let Miss Tang see the true colors of this person. You're so infatuated that he's not worth it at all. Chapter 2632. Sure Shuashin's words did not receive any response from Tanghua. Host, Yen Wei is here. Hearing the system's reminder, Tanghua turned around and walked to the window. She looked into the distance, leaving Sure Shuashin with a lonely back view. Anyone who saw her would feel her sadness. In fact, only the system knew that the big smile on its host's face meant that she could not help but smile. She just wanted to change the direction of her smile. Judging from Sure Shuashin's behavior, Yen Wei was done for. Host, you have raised this bowl very successfully. Host, Sure Shuashin has a maternal grandfather, but he is not in the country. Speaking of which, Sure Shuashin's mother was similar to Yen Wei's father. She also broke up with her family because of love. Is she also very powerful? That's right. It could not be helped. This was how it worked. The female lead's identity was not simple under normal circumstances. Moreover, even Sure Shuashin's father did not know the identity of Sure Shuashin's mother. Her maternal grandfather was not only powerful, but also very shady. However, her maternal grandfather was a very stubborn person. As long as his daughter did not admit her mistake, he would harden his heart and not ask about it. After what happened back then, he did not have the intention to move his power back. Therefore, he did not know what happened here at all. If his daughter did not take the initiative to contact him, he would think that his daughter had broken up with him and was unwilling to talk about it for the rest of her life. Great. Just as Tanghua was muttering these words, the door was pushed open. Actually, Yen Wei had been standing at the door for about a minute. He had heard part of Sure Shuashin's words. Compared to before, although he was a little angry this time, he did not blame Sure Shuashin when he saw her sharp chin, pale face, and dark eyes. When he walked in, he did not ignore Tanghua, who was standing by the window with her back to him. He came over because he asked Wu Dong if he had sent the food over. When he heard that Tanghua was here, he instinctively came over. When he saw Tanghua standing by the window and Sure Shuashin eating happily, he realized that he had been thinking too much. Tanghua would not do anything to Sure Shuashin. She had always been so obedient. Even if she knew how he treated Sure Shuashin, she didn't have any opinions about it. She was always so obedient and had never tried to change his mind or go against his wishes. Perhaps this was the reason why he was willing to keep this woman in the manor and give her a special status. Xiaogua, why are you here? Tanghua turned around and smiled faintly at Yen Wei. I found out that Mr. Yen instructed the butler to deliver food to Miss Sure, so I came over to take a look. Yen Wei had expected this answer. She didn't make any excuses at all. She didn't even use Sure Shuashin's illness as an excuse. She just said that she wanted to come over and take a look. This was indeed in line with her character. She's sick. Naturally, the hospital will take care of her. You don't have to worry. Tanghua slowly walked up to Yen Wei. Got it. I won't come here again. Mr. Yen, if there is nothing else, I will return to the manor first. Yen Wei seemed to understand her sadness, so he didn't stay. Although she didn't cry or make a fuss, he could feel that she was wronged. He suddenly felt a little upset. After Tanghua left, his attention was diverted to Sure Shuashin. She rolled her eyes at him and even glared at him. Surprisingly, he didn't get angry. Instead, he chose to sit at the side and watch her eat. Sure Shuashin, damn it, being stared at by a vicious dog makes me want to throw up the food I ate. I have no appetite. I can't eat anymore. You're not eating anymore. Yen Wei looked at Sure Shuashin's half-eaten food and remembered that the doctor had said that Sure Shuashin's stomach was a little serious. Is your stomach uncomfortable? No. Not long after, Yan Wei called the doctor over and gave Shi Shuoxin a checkup. After confirming that there was no problem, he left and even reminded her to eat properly. Shi Shuoxin, only a ghost would believe that a vicious dog suddenly became kind. He even chased Miss Tang away. How annoying. Chapter 2633. In the following days, Tang Guo did not visit Shi Shuoxin in the hospital, just as she had told Yan Wei. Shi Shuoxin looked at her every day, but she could not ask Wu Dong why Tang Guo did not visit her. After all, she was just a handyman in the manor. Now that she was almost cured, Tang Guo still didn't come again. She remembered what happened before and thought that Yan Wei must have said not to let Tang Guo come, so the other party didn't come. His hatred for Yan Wei increased by a few notches. Yan Wei only thought that Shi Shuoxin had a little temper. While she was sick, he came to visit her almost every day. Looking at Shi Shuoxin baring her fangs and brandishing her claws while rolling her eyes with her back to him, he instead felt that it was very interesting, causing him to momentarily forget that this woman before him was the daughter of his enemy and that there was an irreconcilable relationship between them. Shi Shuoxin had been looking forward to being discharged from the hospital for a long time. If Yan Wei had not stopped her, she would have been discharged long ago and returned to the manor to help Miss Tang dry her paintings. Today was the day Shi Shuoxin was discharged from the hospital. After she was sent back to the manor, she rushed to Tang Guo's room. She knocked on the door gently and Wu Dong quickly reminded her, "Miss Tang is in the garden." "Oh." Shi Shuoxin answered and quickly ran downstairs to find Tang Guo in the garden. Sure enough, next to the garden, he saw Tang Guo, who was painting. Shi Shuoxin walked over gently and glanced at the painting. She was a little surprised and whispered, "Miss Tang's paintings are so cute." Tang Guo looked back and saw that Shi Shuoxin was still alive and kicking. It seemed that she had been living well for a while. "Are you better?" "Yes, I'm very well." "Didn't you say that you wanted to help Miss Tang dry her paintings?" Shi Shuoxin even stretched out her hand. "I've been taking care of my hands recently. Look, the paintings won't be damaged when I hold them." "Miss Tang, the weather is good today. Do you want to dry your paintings?" "Yes." With Tang Guo's permission, Shi Shuoxin quickly went to move the paintings. When she ran upstairs, Wu Dong stopped her and said amiably, "Miss Shi, Sir has instructed that you don't have to do any chores for the time being since you've just recovered." Even if Wu Dong didn't like Shi Shuoxin that much, he wouldn't go against Yan Wei's wishes. He had to do whatever Yan Wei told him to do. "I understand." Shi Shuoxin agreed and went to move the painting. "I can order other people to do these things. Miss Shi, you should go and rest." Everyone in the manor saw Wu Dong's attitude. Those who hadn't bullied Shi Shuoxin before or didn't have the chance to bully her felt extremely lucky. They knew that it was best not to offend a woman who had that kind of relationship with Sir. Who knew if this sparrow would one day fly to a branch and become a phoenix? Look, isn't this Shi Shuoxin a phoenix now? Judging from the butler's attitude, it was definitely Sir's idea. There's no need. Miss Tang likes it when I help her dry her paintings. Other people are careless and will damage Miss Tang's paintings. Shi Shuoxin looked at him as if he didn't know anything. This was her pleasure, which made Wu Dong feel helpless. Sir's attitude made him unable to force Shi Shuoxin to do anything. He only found 2 people to help carry out the box full of paintings. The last one to dry her paintings was Shi Shuoxin. "Host, did you see the way Shi Shuoxin looked at you? Didn't she look like a baby who came to you to ask for credit after sweeping the floor for the first time?" "Host, you've led the female lead astray. She's your lackey." "No, she's your cowherd." Chapter 2634. Let her live a good life for a few days first. Tangua's voice was flat. Yan Wei's temper is strange and unpredictable. He treasures her now, but when he suddenly remembers her identity, it will be time for her to suffer again. Didn't Great Host say that she would help her turn things around? Why didn't she tell old Master Qin about Shuashin and her mother's situation now? It's not enough. She hasn't been through enough hardships. Or should I say, her hatred for Yan Wei isn't enough. She's too pure and kind. She won't be able to harden her heart to deal with Yan Wei. Tangua's eyes overflowed with a smile. Yan Wei is such a proud man. Do you think he will be very angry if he is defeated by Shuashin one day? Not only would he be angry, but he would also be so angry that he would vomit blood. Then let's wait a little longer. I'm not in a hurry at all. There is a price to pay for growth. Shuashin wants to stand up and protect herself and her mother. It's good to suffer more. Old Master Qin's family business is so big. Not everyone can take over it. Old Master Qin only has one daughter in such a big Qin family. His first wife passed away and he didn't seem to want to remarry. According to the information I found, Old Master Qin's late wife and he relied on each other and went through thick and thin together. He probably can't hold another human in his heart. Miss Tang, there isn't a cat in the manor. Why did you think of drawing it? Shuashin looked at the paper curiously. There was a cat in various forms. It was so vivid that it seemed to be Miss Tang's cat. System, isn't it his great host's cat? Back then, he didn't even come out. There was a big cutie living in the cat's body. I met an interesting cat by chance. I see. This cat is so well drawn. I can see that Miss Tang has put a lot of effort into it. Shuashin held her face. No. Miss Tang has put a lot of effort into every drawing. But Miss Tang's style seems to have changed a lot. Tangua's eyes flashed with surprise. She didn't expect that the first person to notice the change in her style would be a layman like Shuashin. In the past, Miss Tang's paintings tended to be cold. Even if she painted a noisy town, one could still feel a kind of loneliness, coldness, and monotony. Shuashin shared her opinion. Recently, Miss Tang's use of color has become bolder. She even has a nonsensical and casual style. Even if it's just a tree and nothing else, I don't feel that kind of loneliness and coldness. Instead, I feel free and do whatever I want without fear. It's a feeling that represents the freedom of the heart. Dear host, is this the legendary female lead Halo? She can actually figure out your state of mind from the paintings. The system was astonished. Tangua, I think so. The female lead is more meticulous and has a better taste in these things than ordinary people. It's normal for her to be able to tell. The cat that Miss Tang drew today was actually just a piece of paper. There were only various forms of the cat, but I actually felt a very warm feeling, Shuashin said a little embarrassed. Shuashin said a little embarrassedly, I almost thought that Miss Tang was really close to this cat, or that you were the one who raised it. When Yan Wei came back, he saw Shuashin talking to Tangua. He even asked Wu Dong in a low voice what was going on. The moment Miss Shi came back, she rushed over to help Miss Tang dry the paintings. Didn't you say that she doesn't have to do this? Subconsciously, Yan Wei's suspicious gaze fell on Tangua. Chapter 2635. I've told Miss Shi about it, but she insisted on helping Miss Tang dry her paintings. I saw that they had a good chat before. Wu Dong felt Yan Wei's displeasure, and his heart sank. He must have taken Shuashin seriously and thought that Miss Tang bullied Shuashin. Don't you know Miss Tang's character? Wu Dong shook his head secretly. Maybe he knew, but people were biased. Whoever was biased would naturally think that the others were not good. Yen Wei walked towards Tanghua. Shi Xuexin's eyes were sharp. She noticed him immediately, and the smile on her face disappeared. Mr. Yen. Tanghua put down her pen and greeted him. Yen Wei stared at Tanghua for a while and then looked at Shi Xuexin. He knew that there was no conflict between the two. Yes. Come with me. Yen Wei looked at Shi Xuexin and said. He did not care that Tanghua was next to him. Now, he was very interested in Shi Xuexin. Shi Xuexin could not refute. She looked at Tanghua eagerly and then followed Yen Wei pitifully. You've recovered, but you still went out to dry your paintings. Yen Wei's criticism sounded more like concern. If it were another woman, her heart might have pounded, but Shi Xuexin did not. Through the comparison between Yen Wei and Miss Tang, she had already felt the best care, unlike Yen Wei, who hurt her one moment and treated her like a treasure the next. In fact, she was just a pet that he played with in his hands. If it wasn't good, the doctor wouldn't have let me leave the hospital. Yen Wei approached Shi Xuexin. Just when Shi Xuexin thought something was going to happen again, he actually stopped. He just pinched her face and whispered to her, "Be good in the manner in the future. You don't have to do those chores anymore. Be obedient." Shi Xuexin only nodded. She did not dare to speak. She was afraid that if she opened her mouth, she would spit feces on Yen Wei's face. During this period, Yen Wei was very good to Shi Xuexin. Many people in the manor saw this and felt that it was unfair for Tanghua. There were also people who became attentive to Shi Xuexin. Of course, there were also people who went to Tanghua to sow discord and talk bad about Shi Xuexin. But he was unlucky. Shi Xuexin would see him every time. "Miss Tang, I'm not interested in Yen Wei. Don't listen to those people's nonsense. They just can't stand me and want to use you to deal with me. When the time comes for me to be dealt with Yen Wei's current state, he will most likely blame you." Tanghua raised her eyebrows and glanced at her. There was no change in her tone. "I know. No one can stop me from dealing with you, Mr. Yen." Shi Xuexin's face fell. "That's right. It's just his own will. What can I do? You're not from this manor, and you don't like him. Why don't you leave?" Shi Xuexin pursed her lips. "If I leave, you can have him all to yourself, right?" "Yes." "Miss Tang, you're not cute at all. What's so good about Yen Wei?" "He's not even as good as me. Look, I can still help you dry your paintings, chat with you, and care about you. Where's Yen Wei? Other than being cold, you're still cold. Now, you've even fallen in love with me, your little follower." Tanghua pursed her lips and restrained herself from laughing out loud. She did not answer. "Sigh, Miss Tang, you're good at everything, but you're too stubborn. You just have to hang yourself on a tree. You won't turn back until you hit a wall. When you realize one day that that person can't tolerate you, you'll be hurt." Chapter 2636. Let's talk about it when that day comes. Sigh, I shouldn't have told you this. Shi Xuexin sighed. It's not that I don't want to go out, but I have no choice. What do you mean? Shi Xuexin briefly told him about her experience. My mother is still in bed now. When I was very young, she fell into a coma after an accident. If I didn't agree to come, even if my father didn't hurt her, the hospital fees alone would be enough to make my head hurt. Compared to Miss Shi, I'm really a useless person. I know that I'll die if I do this. My fate is being manipulated by others, but I can't resist. I'm the only daughter of the Sure family who's in such a miserable state. How much do you need? I can lend you. Sure Shuashin widened her eyes. Miss Tang, it seems that you really want me to go. Do I make you dislike me that much? Anyway, you don't want to stay here, and I don't want anyone to distract Mr. Yen. Why not? Are you really willing to lend me the money? My mother's hospital costs a few 100,000 yuan a year. If you lend me the money, I'm afraid it'll be a long time before I can repay the debt. Sure Shuashin frowned. What she was most afraid of was not being able to escape. I have a feeling that if I run away, Yen Wei won't be satisfied and will get angry. When that happens, he'll put pressure on the Sure family and send people to look for me. I'm a weak and helpless girl. If I'm found by two powerful people, I'll be finished. If my mother was a healthy person, she would be able to take her abroad. Sure Shuashin was tempted at that moment. But she suddenly calmed down. If she ran like this, she would never succeed. Dear host, she's very clear-headed. The system hesitated. That's in the plot. She's also very clear-headed. She knows that she can't escape. Her father and other parents raised her to be useless since she was young. She has no family and her mother is in bed. What can she do as a little girl? She's only in her early 20s and can't resist. She can only follow the instructions and come to Yen Wei. Yen Wei is scarier than the Sure family. Most people who are targeted by him can't escape. Most importantly, in the plot, Yen Wei is the one who hurt her, but he's also the only one who cares about her. But things were different now. Her host was the one who cared about her the most. She didn't like Yen Wei either. Tang Guo was deep in thought. That thing is going to happen soon. The system knew that it was the first time Tang Guo and Sure Shuashin were kidnapped. Sure Shuashin had a good month. At first, Yen Yi thought that this was pretty good, but later on, other thoughts gradually appeared in her mind. Sure Shuashin had been his woman for a long time. He was actually reminiscing about the things that had happened before. So one night, he took the initiative to go to Sure Shuashin's room. For the next few days, he ran to Sure Shuashin's room, causing the people in the manor to think that Sure Shuashin was going to be promoted. Until one of Yen Wei's good friends came to visit. Who would have thought that this good friend of his was actually Sure Shuashin's classmate and her former suitor? He seemed to know what had happened to Sure Shuashin. He took the opportunity to communicate with Sure Shuashin and told her that he could help her with whatever she needed. Tang Guo saw all of this with her own eyes. Until the two of them met and Yen Wei found out. Actually, Sure Shuashin didn't have any feelings for this person, but she did want to ask this person to visit her mother. Chapter 2637. In the end, Sure Shuashin regained her position as a servant in the manor, and Yen Wei began to torture her both physically and mentally. Look, that dog is biting again. Sure Shuashin was not afraid that Tang Guo would be angry. She understood Miss Tang well. It seemed that no matter what others said, they could not destroy Yen Wei's image in her heart. It was strange that Yen Wei was not moved by such an otherworldly woman. I told you to run, but you didn't. Sure Shuashin was so angry that she laughed. After I was bitten a few times by him, Miss Tang actually wanted me to run away. You won't have to suffer if you leave him. Sure Shuashin's expression changed, and her voice became much lower. Miss Tang, I want to do that too. But I have no choice, and you can't help me. I can only bear all of this. Tang Guo did not say anything, and continued to wave the brush in her hand. How's your mother? Same old. This time, I've implicated that classmate of mine. I know he likes me. This time, he contacted me because I wanted him to help me see my mother. I didn't expect Yan Wei to be so sensitive and know about it so quickly. I'm really sorry. Let's not contact each other in the future. I'm just an unlucky person. Whoever meets me will be unlucky. Shi Shuoxin said dejectedly. Don't say that. Dawn will come one day. I'll take your blessings then. At night, Shi Shuoxin could not sleep. When she heard that Yan Wei was not coming back, she secretly knocked on Tang Guo's door. After getting permission, she realized that Tang Guo was not sleeping. Not only was she not sleeping, she was also watching the live broadcast. Wow, Miss Tang, I thought you were an otherworldly fairy. I didn't expect you to watch this kind of vulgar thing too. Shi Shuoxin took a look and realized that it was a shopping live broadcast. There was a handsome man in it, promoting a piece of jewelry that floated over. However, she saw that the moment the link was released, Miss Tang beside her quickly clicked on it and placed an order for 2 sets. She looked at the price and swallowed her saliva. This poem was not cheap. It cost tens of thousands. Did she place an order just like that? She did not even consider it. This was a luxury item. After a while, Shi Shuoxin realized a problem. No matter what the live broadcast was selling, Miss Tang would buy it. She seemed to have discovered an incredible secret. She also took out her phone and looked at it. As she looked at it, she also had the conflict of wanting to buy it. If it weren't for her dry wallet, she might have already taken action. She didn't know how much money Miss Tang had spent until the end. Anyway, she didn't treat money as money. System, that's right. In order to support her man, Madam Host even asked this little system to invest in stocks and earn money for her. Humph, using the money he earned to buy a man, the great host would really do it. However, it was fine as long as she was happy. Big Cutie was still very good. Tang Guo only put down her phone after the live broadcast ended. After the live broadcast ended, Bai Shuo subconsciously looked at the customers who had bought the items. Sure enough, she found Miss Tang who had bought every item. He looked at these orders and seemed to be happier than anything else. As he looked at them, he laughed. Brother Bai, what happened? Why are you smiling so happily? It's a good thing. The assistant hurriedly stretched her head over to take a look. Seeing that a certain customer had actually bought every item, she was also a little surprised. Brother Bai, is this your loyal fan? She buys whatever you sell. I don't know. Bai Shuo looked at his phone screen. He also didn't know why she would buy so many things that she had no use for. The day finally came. It was a party. Not only was Tang Guo invited, Shi Shuoxin was also the daughter of the Shi family, so she was also invited. Chapter 2638. The two of them sat in different cars. On the way to the banquet, everything was normal and nothing happened. When they returned and got into the car, something went wrong. When they got into the car, Tang Guo sensed it. And the direction the car was heading was getting weirder. Shi Shuoxin knew the way, but she had been staring at the car Tang Guo was in. When she realized that the car was heading in another direction, she called out. But she was quickly stopped. After the banquet, Yan Wei had something to discuss with his business partner. Unexpectedly, not long after, he received news that Tang Guo and Shi Shuoxin were kidnapped. President Yan, what happened? Why do you look so anxious? The business partner asked with concern. Not only did Yan Wei value this cooperation, but it was also very important to him. He did not want this to affect anything. There were many people present, including Shi Shuoxin's father. But with Yan Wei around, he could only stand aside. Even though he was very unhappy, he could not afford to offend Yan Wei, who was now the leader of this city. He was already relieved that the crisis could be solved by sending a daughter he did not care about. Even if he knew that Yen Wei wanted to use Shishuashin to humiliate him, so what? Something happened. Hearing that the two of them were kidnapped at the same time, Yen Wei knew that the culprit was after him. I don't think we can talk today. This is very important. President Yen, please go ahead. Let's talk another day. Actually, it was impossible that the business partner did not know about such an important matter. Of course, he did not dare to delay Yen Wei's business. Someone actually kidnapped Miss Shi and Miss Tang at the same time. It was said that they ran in different directions. Those who knew about this were very curious. Everyone knew Yen Wei's attitude towards Shishuashin. It was obvious who he wanted to save. After Yen Wei left, it was just as everyone thought. He sent someone to look for Tangguo first, not Shishuashin. In fact, now that so many people knew about this matter and understood the grudge between Yen Wei and the Shi family, Yen Wei couldn't possibly save Shishuashin at this time. Let's find Xiaoguo first. Is that so? Does Yen Wei not care about Shishuashin's life or death? There was a smile in Shi Roxian's eyes. If that's the case, then I'm relieved. I was really afraid that Yen Wei had some thoughts about that bitch Shishuashin. When the time comes, I'll use Yen Wei to make a comeback. Then should we ask them to release Shishuashin? Release? It's too easy to let her go just like that. Shi Roxian's expression turned ferocious. If it weren't for that bitch and her mother who can't die, my mother would have been the Shi family's madam long ago. She wouldn't be like this now. Everyone knows that she's just a woman accompanying my father. There's no wedding and no status. Even if they can't kill her, they'll make her suffer. Shi Roxian didn't dare to really kill Shishuashin. After all, the other party was now Yen Wei's person. Even if a dog died, it would be a slap to Yen Wei's face. Originally, she did this because she heard some rumors that Yen Wei treated Shishuashin well, which made her a little nervous. She came up with this idea. While Shishuashin was not paying attention, she kidnapped Shishuashin and then proposed a harsh condition to see if Yen Wei had any thoughts about Shishuashin. Chapter 2639. In the end, Yen Wei didn't care about Shishuashin at all. And this time, someone actually kidnapped Tangguo. The people she arranged could be considered to have blended in with them. Unknowingly, they gave her an extra layer of protection and wouldn't be easily discovered. Now that Yen Wei had arranged for people to go all out to find Tangguo, she would have to teach Shishuashin a lesson. Arrange for people to slap Shishuashin until Yen Wei remembers her and finds her. Shi Roxian's facial features were distorted beyond recognition. After she suffers a lot, she will go out and find out that Yen Wei doesn't care about her life and death. She will despair. She wants Yen Wei to be her backer. Dream on. Understood. It's one thing to attack, but don't kill him. If he really dies, things won't be so simple. Dear host, are you waiting for Yen Wei to save you now and let Shishuashin suffer? Don't suffer. I remember that in the plot, when I found Shishuashin, she was covered in blood and her face was swollen like a pig's head. I can't bear to see a pig's head smiling hideously in front of me for a month. System, alright, I understand. Dear host, you are planning to save the cow I raised. Alright, it's my cow after all. Find me a weapon. Okay, right away. Only the driver and Tangguo were in the car. The driver originally thought that it would be easy to drag a weak woman back. Even if Tangguo realized that something was wrong and struggled, he could subdue her. After all, he had a real weapon in his hands. But when he thought of a cold tube pointing at his head, he subconsciously shivered and almost stepped on the brakes on the road. Fortunately, he steadied himself. Otherwise, he really didn't know what kind of accident would have happened. If you want to live, listen to me. Miss Tang, what are you doing? Let's talk nicely. This kind of weapon is not a joke. Before he could finish his words, Tang Guo shot at the roof of the car. Although the car was equipped with a silencer, the force of the shooting still scared the driver so much that he broke out in a cold sweat. He held the steering wheel tightly and no longer treated Tang Guo as an ordinary weak girl. Thinking about it carefully, was the woman who could stay by Yan Wei's side really so pure and simple? What are your orders, Miss Tang? Do you need me to send you back? He already understood that today's mission was a failure. His expression was somewhat dejected. If he obeyed the other party, he could still keep his life. If he didn't, he would either die or be crippled. Now, listen to me and follow my instructions. Wherever I tell you to go, you'll go there. All right. Things went smoothly. The driver quickly found an opportunity to change directions and drove towards the city. It was just that this period of time had taken some time. When Tang Guo returned to the city, it was already an hour later. Shi Xuexin felt a burning pain on her face, and tears kept coming out of her eyes. Motherfucker, who are these people? They pulled her out of the car and brought her to this abandoned warehouse. Then, they tied her up and gave her a few slaps on the face. Even if she had a hard time in the Shi family, she didn't have to be slapped repeatedly like this. Seeing that another slap was about to land on her face, Shi Xuexin quickly closed her eyes and gritted her teeth, waiting for the next slap. Chapter 2640. Shi Xuexin did not receive the next slap. Instead, she heard the man in front of her scream. She quickly opened her eyes. She quickly lowered her head and saw that the man who had treated her so cruelly was curled up on the ground in pain. Fresh blood was still seeping out of the ground. Upon closer inspection, she realized that the blood came from the man's badly mangled wounds. The blood made Shi Xuexin feel a little disgusted, but she also felt a little happy. This pervert's hand had hit her several times, and every hit was especially heavy. Her face was in so much pain. She was very grateful to whoever did this to her. Shi Xuexin's attention was attracted by the sound of light footsteps approaching. She quickly raised her head and saw Tang Guo, who was wearing a formal dress, walking in with elegant steps. She was holding a black object in her hand that seemed to be emitting smoke. Shi Xuexin swallowed her saliva in disbelief. Miss Tang. Tang Guo glanced at her and nodded lightly. She walked in front of her and untied her. She did not ask if she was okay. Instead, she took out a small mirror and handed it to Shi Xuexin. Shi Xuexin felt that her actions were full of malice when she thought about it later. Shi Xuexin looked at her own reflection in the mirror and her face fell. Then, she remembered that the person who had saved her was actually Tang Guo. Her little eyes lit up and she almost hugged Tang Guo's leg and called her daddy. Miss Tang, did you specially come to save me? You can say so. Why? Did you think that no one would help you dry your paintings without me, your little follower? I told you that I'm still useful. Mr. Yan cares about you. Both of us were kidnapped at the same time. According to the situation at that time, Mr. Yan would choose to save me first. After I was rescued, if something happened to you, Mr. Yan would definitely be sad. He might even resent me. Tang Guo said indifferently, completely ignoring Shi Xuexin's ugly expression. Although I can't get Mr. Yan's heart, I don't want him to hate me. So, I can only save the person he cares about. System, and what a good reason. Shi Xuexin could not love Yan Wei in the first place. Now, she might hate him even more. The host's great trick was really clever. I thought you came to save me because you were worried about me. Shuashin didn't doubt that a weak woman like Tangguo wouldn't have such a thing and dared to save her alone. However, when she thought of this reason, she felt extremely displeased. Yan Wei was such a scumbag. Was Miss Tang really planning to hang herself on a tree? You go to the hospital first. I don't want Mr. Yen to know about this. Shuashin pursed her lips and was shoved into the car by Tangguo with a painful face. She looked back at Tangguo, who was standing behind her, and muttered, "How can such a stubborn person exist? If Yan Wei doesn't want her in the manor one day, what will she be like?" As for Tangguo, she returned to the car. Inside, there was a driver whom she had put on a timer and flicked his watch. The driver thought that he would be free once Tangguo got out of the car. Who would have thought that she would actually force something like that onto his hand? The remote control was still with her. If he dared to move, he would definitely turn into a gorgeous firework. "Miss Tang, should I send you back to the manor now?" If he could get out alive this time, he would definitely tell his brothers not to kidnap this woman in the future. They couldn't afford to offend her. Chapter 2641. Where were you taking me just now? This. The driver hesitated. We're taking you back to our boss. Who's your boss? Does he have a grudge against Mr. Yen? There's been a little friction. Miss Tang, it's our fault this time. We promise that we won't provoke you again. The competition between men has nothing to do with women. We shouldn't have dragged Miss Tang into it. He was really afraid that she would ask him to take her to see the boss and install some dangerous things in their territory to play with for a while. He looked at the rearview mirror and secretly glanced at Tangguo's handbag. He didn't know what other strange things were in it. Yan Wei's woman was scary. They really didn't dare to provoke her in the future. He couldn't even handle a woman. This Yan Wei was probably not someone he could provoke. They never thought that they could threaten Yan Wei with a woman. They just wanted to make things difficult for him so that the project wouldn't go smoothly. They kidnapped Tangguo to distract Yan Wei. They didn't expect to provoke such a dangerous woman. Just drive wherever you need to go. Tangguo held a small makeup mirror and smiled at the driver. Also, don't tell anyone what I did today, especially not Mr. Yan's ears. Otherwise, I don't know what else is in the bag and whether it will appear anywhere in your house one day. It was clearly a gentle sentence, but it made the driver break out in cold sweat. This was too scary. Got it. Don't worry, Miss Tang. I won't tell anyone except for our boss. He still had to tell his boss. I'm telling him because I'm afraid I'll provoke you again in the future. Please don't mind. That's good. I don't want to ruin my image in front of Mr. Yen. I've always been perfect. Hearing this, the driver breathed a sigh of relief. It turned out that this woman was infatuated with Yan Wei and didn't want to show her scary side and ruin her image. Later, drive to a remote place and drop me off. Tell them that your side knows that Yan Wei is blocking your way, so you can only throw me to the side of the road and run away. Okay, Miss Tang. This time, not only did he not do anything, but he was also bullied by a woman. The driver felt a little aggrieved, but looking at the dangerous thing on his wrist, beads of sweat the size of beans kept rolling down. Forget it. No matter what, it was more frightening than dangerous. When they arrived at a remote highway, the driver saw that there were no cars around, so he stopped the car and put Tangguo on the side of the road. Miss Tang, is this enough? Should we leak some information to Yan Wei? No, Mr. Yen is very resourceful. He'll find me soon. You'd better get out of here. Otherwise, if you get caught, you'll have a good time. The driver didn't understand this woman. When he heard that Yan Wei might catch him, he quickly climbed into the car. Soon, he got out and raised his wrist. With a smile on her face, Tang Guo removed the dangerous thing for him. This time, the driver heaved a sigh of relief. He quickly got into the car, started the engine, and sped off. Tang Guo stood on the side of the highway. After all, this place was still a little dangerous. Then she threw her handbag down the mountain. Chapter 26:42. He stood on the small path in an orderly manner, looking extremely calm. System, host, when you throw your bag and phone, you really look like you're very skilled. Tang Guo stood outside the highway for about half an hour, but Yan Wei didn't come. Instead, another person's car stopped next to her. Miss Tang. Bai Shuo was very surprised. He thought that he had seen wrongly, but in order not to miss it, he still wanted to stop and take a look. Then, he realized that he was not wrong. The woman standing outside the highway in a gown was really Tang Guo. Miss Tang, why are you here? Get in the car first. Seeing that Tang Guo was only wearing a gown and had no phone or bag in her hand, Bai Shuo subconsciously felt that something was not simple. This was not a place to stay for a long time. It was easy for something to happen, so it was better to call her into the car first. Tang Guo did not refuse. The smile in her eyes was about to overflow. She did not expect such a coincidence. She must have done a good deed and saved the female lead chosen by the Heavenly Dao. The Heavenly Dao sent her here. Miss Tang, what's going on? If it were not for the wrong occasion, Bai Shuo would be very happy to see her. Tang Guo answered truthfully, I attended a banquet and was kidnapped. Hearing her understatement, Bai Shuo's heart skipped a beat. How could she say it so casually? She was a woman from the Yan Manor. Yan Wei's opponent must have kidnapped her. Yan Wei had offended many people over the years. She did not know why she was left here. If she was really taken back, she would definitely suffer. Unknowingly, Bai Shuo heaved a sigh of relief. Do you need me to call the police for you? Call the police. Under normal circumstances, he should call the police. Bai Shuo took out his phone and called the police. Anyway, he thought that it was very serious. He had his own selfish reasons, so he did not say that he would call Yan Wei directly. Since he had already called the police, Yan Wei would definitely receive the news. Why did they leave Miss Tang there? I heard him make a series of phone calls. Mr. Yan must have sent people to the various toll booths. They are not confident that they can take me out, so they probably gave up. Bai Shuo remembered that Yan Wei was somewhat capable, so he believed this explanation. Then should I send you back to the manor first? Then I'll have to trouble you. After a pause, Tang Guo asked, I think there's a live stream for you today. Can you make it in time? It's already 6:00. It's fine. If I can't make it in time, I'll apply for leave later and extend the time. Miss Tang's safety is more important. Where do you sell things? They're all very good. Bai Shuo remembered that she would buy everything he sold. I just realized that Miss Tang bought a set of everything I sold. Did you buy them as gifts? In particular, were those things for Yan Wei? Tang Guo smiled. Yeah, it's for someone. But if it wasn't for Yan Wei, it would be such a waste. Bai Shuo didn't feel good. She was clearly a member of the Yan Manor. Buying things for Yan Wei was a very normal thing. Why did he feel unhappy? Yan Wei soon received news that someone had called the police about Tang Guo's incident. It was said that someone had bumped into Tanghua on the highway and was now driving her back. This made him feel slightly relieved and he hurriedly went to pick her up. Bai Shuo was very regretful that he didn't send Tanghua to the manor. After seeing Yan Wei, he hurriedly left. If he didn't leave, he might be so jealous that he would split. Chapter 2643. Yan Wei didn't take it to heart that Bai Shuo picked up Tanghua on the way. Just as Tanghua expected, Yan Wei thought that it was the people who kidnapped her. When he found out, he had already arranged for people to block them at every intersection. He thought that he couldn't take Tanghua away under his nose. In the end, he had no choice but to leave her by the side of the highway. "Are you okay?" "I'm fine." Tanghua shook her head. Yan Wei nodded with a bad expression. Those people dared to kidnap someone from the Yan Manor in front of so many people. It was indeed a slap to his face. Even if Tanghua was safe, this matter wouldn't be over just like that. After sending Tanghua back to the manor, Wu Dong reminded him, "Mr. Yan, Miss Tang has safely returned to the manor." As for Miss Shi, previously, Yan Wei only asked people to do their best to find Tanghua. In front of so many people, he couldn't show that he cared about Shi Shuoxin. Otherwise, the Shi family and other families would look at him strangely. Arrange for some people to look for her. Be sure to find her as soon as possible. Thinking of Shi Shuoxin now, even though Yan Wei looked very calm on the surface, he was actually a little flustered. He clenched his fists and instantly understood that Shi Shuoxin was more important in his heart than he thought. When his people brought back news of Shi Shuoxin and heard that she was in the hospital, he couldn't sit still anymore. "I have some things to do." At this moment, Tanghua was eating with Yan Wei. She wasn't surprised to hear Yan Wei suddenly say this. Yan Wei was in such a hurry. He must have found Shi Shuoxin's whereabouts. He felt guilty and wanted to rescue her personally. When he saw Shi Shuoxin's swollen face, he would probably feel even more heartbroken. Things were really getting more and more interesting. On the surface, there was some sadness in her eyes. In fact, she couldn't wait for Yan Wei to get lost. After eating, she wanted to go back to her room to watch the live broadcast. Yan Wei pretended not to see it. He took his coat and turned to leave. No one could stop him where he went. Moreover, he was going to see a very important person now. Even if he didn't want to admit it, this person was really important to him. "Dear host, it seems like Yan Wei is deeply in love with Shi Shuoxin." Looking at his anxious look, it seems like he can't wait to fly to Shi Shuoxin's side. Unfortunately, Shi Shuoxin hated him more and more. When it said this, the system was also gloating. The host's big move was really amazing. Even if that's the case, it doesn't change his unpredictable personality. To be liked by someone like him is to be unlucky for 8 lifetimes. The system recalled the original plot where Shi Shuoxin was tortured here and there. It shuddered. Wasn't that the case? Being liked by such a person was simply not a good life. Not long after Yan Wei left, Tanghua returned to her room. She clicked on the live stream space and watched the man introduce all kinds of items and buy all kinds of things. The system watched as all the money it earned was given away by the host with a large contribution rate under Bai Shuo's persuasion. It really didn't know what to say. However, Madam Host seemed to be very happy with her purchases. Late at night, Yan Wei came back with Shi Shuoxin. It was so loud that Tanghua had to hear it even if she didn't want to. From the moment Yan Wei saw Shi Shuoxin and saw her swollen face, he felt incomparably guilty and remorseful. Along the way, Shi Shuoxin felt the gentleness from Yan Wei. She was so scared that her heart was beating wildly. Chapter 2644. She thought to herself, what the hell is this guy thinking? Just because he didn't come to save me first, he's so deeply in love with me and feels so guilty. Doesn't this man know that he's a little disgusting? Wretch. She didn't understand. She didn't do anything, but this man fell in love with her. Thinking of the days of torture, she laughed in her heart. She was really unlucky to be liked by this kind of person. Sure, Shuashin's anxious look made Yan Wei's heart ache even more. On the way back, he even held her hand. When he walked her to the door of her room, he even said in a low voice, "This kind of thing won't happen again." He touched Shuashin's cheek and said tenderly, "Make do with it for tonight. I'll get the butler to tidy up your room tomorrow night." Even if he couldn't tell the public that Shuashin was very important to him for the time being, he didn't want to treat her unfairly in the manner. Shuashin complained in her heart that this man was crazy. He just came into the room without any intention of resisting. Actually, if it was possible, she wanted to see how Tang Guo was doing. She heard that Tang Guo had already returned to the manor. Otherwise, she wouldn't have come back so obediently. Miss Tang was so powerful. She definitely wouldn't be like her, waiting for others to save her. If not for Miss Tang's reminder, she really wanted to tell Yan Wei how outstanding the woman beside him was. Shuashin didn't want to talk about this. Miss Tang was so outstanding that Yan Wei didn't deserve her. Why should he know how outstanding she was? How is Miss Tang? Can I go and see her? Thinking of the frightening scene today, Shuashin was still worried. If Tang Guo hadn't come to save her in time, her face might have really swollen like a pig's head. It's getting late. You can go tomorrow. Yan Wei looked at Shuashin and suddenly changed his words. If you really want to see her, I'll take you there. Shuashin thought that Tang Guo might have already gone to bed. She quickly shook her head. No. I'm a little tired. I want to rest. Yan Wei didn't force her. He followed Shuashin into the room with no intention of going out. Shuashin sneered in her heart, but she did not stop him. Anyway, she was used to it. Let it be for the time being. After today's incident, she was really eager to get rid of this fate one day. If it wasn't for Miss Tang today, the person who kidnapped her really wanted her life or had other intentions. Because of various reasons, Yan Wei wouldn't have come looking for her first. Then, she didn't know how miserable her fate would be. That night, Shuashin thought a lot, but she had no clue. In the end, she could only fall asleep helplessly. It was the same for Tang Guo. While watching the live stream, she bought countless items. Bai Shuo occasionally took advantage of the gap to secretly look at the orders. Sure enough, he found a familiar account that bought every item. He was in a good mood. He had a feeling that the incident today was not as simple as it seemed. It was not that the person who kidnapped Tang Guo was not simple, but the fact that Tang Guo was thrown off the highway was not simple. However, he couldn't think of anything. Today, the fans in the live stream noticed that the king of merchandising was in high spirits, as if something good was about to happen. The live stream was more enthusiastic than usual. Every sentence made them want to buy something. Many people hurriedly covered their wallets and exited the live stream. This person was really poisonous. They really couldn't afford those luxurious items. But it seemed like they had to. Chapter 2645. After the live stream ended, Bai Shuo finally found some time to send a message to Tang Guo. Bai Shuo, Miss Tang, how are you doing? Tang Guo, I'm doing fine. Bai Shuo remembered that she was still living in the Yan Manor. He sighed and didn't say much. He only typed, then, good night. He wanted to say more, but it didn't seem appropriate. He wasn't afraid of Yen Wei, but he was afraid that he would bring trouble to her. Tanggua, good night. Looking at these two words, Bai Shuo could imagine her expression when she typed these two words. He frowned slightly. She seemed to be someone else's woman. How sad. He shouldn't have paid attention to it, but he couldn't help it. It was as if she had some magical power. So now, he could only look at her to quench his thirst. Quench his thirst by looking at the chat history. Bai Shuo shook his head. He really didn't understand how he ended up in this position. If word got out, it would probably be big news. It might even be the kind of hot search. Shi Xuexin woke up early in the morning. She ran out of her room and bumped into Tanggua, who was coming downstairs. Miss Tang, are you okay? Shi Xuexin went to Tanggua and asked with concern. Tanggua shook her head, indicating that she was fine. Shi Xuexin heaved a sigh of relief and went to have breakfast with Tanggua. Not long after, Wu Dong said to her, Miss Shi, your new room has been arranged. Shi Xuexin didn't care, but when she heard that the new room was on the same floor as Tanggua's, she smiled and expressed her satisfaction. This way, she would have more opportunities to chat with Miss Tang. She didn't know what Yen Wei ate, but he was so gentle to her now. But she didn't care. She knew this man's temper. He had been nice to her for the past 2 days. Perhaps he would beat her back to her original form and torture her well in the next 2 days. Shi Xuexin's rise in status worried Yi Yumei the most. But because of Tanggua's instructions, Yi Yumei didn't do anything to Shi Xuexin. After spending so much time together, Yi Yumei actually didn't want to do anything to Shi Xuexin. She must have understood that Shi Xuexin had always been manipulated by Yen Wei. She even vaguely sympathized with her. Don't worry. I won't do anything to Shi Xuexin. Yi Yumei sighed. I just suddenly feel that Yen Wei is a little unreliable. If Shi Xuexin is allowed to stay in the manor, Yen Wei will only care about her more and more even if he occasionally quarrels with her. Look at how much Yen Wei has changed in the manor because of her. Even the daughter of his enemy could be promoted by him and directly live next to his room. It can be seen that he really likes Shi Shui. Mom, why are you thinking so much? Aren't I thinking for your sake? Once Shi Xuexin gets the position, you won't have a place in the manor anymore. He might even chase us out of the manor for Shi Xuexin. Yi Yumei's expression was ugly. Xiaogua, your father has done a lot of things to offend people in the past. Once we leave the manor and lose Yen Wei's protection, we won't have a good life. At that time, even if we escape abroad, there will be people who will think of ways to mess with us. For the first time, Tanggua saw deep helplessness in Yi Yumei's eyes instead of caring about fame and money. She patted Yi Yumei's hand. Even if I force him, I can't change his mind. He will still care about who he should care about. Chapter 2646. It's only a matter of time before he chases us out of the manor. If I force him, I might end up in a worse state. Xiaogua, do you still like him if you understand all this? Yi Yumei couldn't figure out her daughter's thoughts. If she didn't like him, Tanggua showed that she liked him. If she liked him, she felt that something was missing. Could it be that her daughter had really cultivated to the point where she could accept Yen Wei liking someone else? Mom, why don't I send you abroad in advance? I'll arrange for someone to find a place for you to retire. No one can think of so much for now. It's still very easy to find a place to stay. The timid Yi Yumei refused. What's the point of me going alone? I'll just stay here. Yi Yumei sighed. We'll talk about it when it really comes to that. It seemed that she had to find out how she could find a safe place to hide without Yen Wei's protection in the future. Her life was hard, and so was her daughter's. The two of them never had 2 days of peace. If they had been from an ordinary family from the beginning, perhaps there wouldn't be so many problems. Xiaogua, you should be mentally prepared. I think Yan Wei's heart is really on that girl. After observing for a while, Yi Yame said expressionlessly, look, this manor has become her favorite place. Many people have changed. She's still staying in Yan Wei's room. I'll say something that might upset you, but recently, I've been seeing Yan Wei coming out of her room every morning. Tanggua just nodded slightly without much expression. Yi Yame reminded her and went out with her bag. Since she might not be able to stay in the manor in the future, she had to find a way out. Fortunately, she had gotten to know many people over the years. Perhaps she could find a way. Sure, Shuashin wasn't as happy as Yi Yame imagined. She was very unhappy now. When she chatted with Tanggua, she could feel that she was weak and even a little hopeless. You don't look well. Sure, Shuashin looked up. It's all because of that Mr. Yen in your heart. Miss Tang, do you really like such a person? Look, he treats me like the apple of his eye now. Don't you feel sad? Tanggua didn't say anything. It wasn't good to say anything now. She had already felt Sure Shuashin's irritation. No matter how well Yan Wei treated Sure Shuashin, it would only make Sure Shuashin feel disgusted and helpless. Then, it was time to do something else. Sure Shuashin, who was at the end of her rope, should have some changes in her life. Then do you want to leave? If you want to leave this place, I will support you. Sure Shuashin rolled her eyes. Leave? She thought. However, he didn't want to. She wanted to leave Yan Wei, but she didn't want to leave Miss Tang. Without her, would a scumbag like Yan Wei marry Miss Tang in the future? Then Miss Tang would have a hard life. She did not think she would be happy living with such a person. If you want to leave, I can help you. This time, Sure Shuashin didn't doubt that Tanggua could really help her. You will implicate Miss Tang. If he finds out, I'm afraid he will hurt you. Yan Wei kept saying that he cared about her, but when he wanted to hurt her, he still hurt her. Moreover, he didn't like Miss Tang, so he would probably be even more ruthless. Chapter 2647. Your mother has been in a coma for more than 10 years. Did the doctor tell you that she might wake up in the future? Sure Shuashin nodded. When my mother just had an accident, the doctor did say that there was a chance that she might wake up. It's just that after so many years, I've already given up. The fact that she's still around is the motivation for me to live on. Of course, I still have a little bit of hope in my heart. I hope that she will wake up one day. As they chatted, Tanggua changed the topic to asking Sure Shuashin to visit her mother. Of course, in the end, the two of them went together. She had no choice but to go. Last night, she had fed Mother Sure a pill and she would probably wake up today. Back then, Mother Sure's accident wasn't simple. Therefore, she had to bring Sure Shuashin over today and wait for Mother Sure to wake up. System, host, you're really worried sick about the cow you're raising. When they arrived at the ward, Sure Shuashin silently stayed by Mother Sure's bedside. After lying on the hospital bed for more than 10 years, Mother Sure looked very thin. If it weren't for the continuous supply of nutrient fluids and the careful care of the people in the hospital, she would have died long ago. There were actually 2 reasons why Sure Shuashin's father wanted to keep her alive. The first was that Mother Sure had made a will a long time ago. If anything happened to her, she would give everything that should be given to Sure Shuashin under her name. In fact, she was afraid that Sure Shuashin would be at a disadvantage. The second was that once Mother Sure died, Sure Shuashin's father believed that it wouldn't be so easy to control Sure Shuashin. He was afraid that she would go crazy and harm their family. The nurses who took care of Mother Sure were actually Sure Shuashin's father's people. At this moment, Sure Shuashin and Tangguo were alone inside. The nurse was already used to it. She didn't think that someone who hadn't woken up for more than 10 years would have a chance to wake up, so she went out with ease. Tangguo locked the door. At this moment, Mother Sure's eyelids twitched. Sure Shuashin had been talking to herself and didn't notice at all. Tangguo didn't remind her either. It wasn't until Mother Sure's fingers moved that Sure Shuashin woke up. Mom. Mother Sure's eyelids seemed to be opening with force. Her fingers moved more and more. Sure Shuashin almost jumped up and turned around to call the doctor. Tangguo held her down and said, "Calm down first." Sure Shuashin calmed down immediately. She had always suspected that Mother Sure's accident wasn't simple. At this moment, although he was excited and happy, he did not plan to find a doctor. Her mind was filled with thoughts. If her mother really woke up, how could she bring her out and let her mother recover properly? After lying in bed for so many years, it would definitely take a long time for him to recover to the state of a normal person. He would need to recuperate for a long time, and he might even need time to adapt to the world that was different from 10 years ago. Sure Shuashin kept holding Mother Sure's hand, her heart pounding. "Miss Tang, I'm wondering if my mother will really wake up." "I will." Even though his voice was cold and emotionless, it still gave Sure Shuashin great encouragement. "If Miss Tang says so, then my mother will definitely wake up." "Miss Tang, you wouldn't lie to me." The two of them waited for half an hour before Mother Sure finally opened her eyes. She stared blankly at the two young ladies standing by the bed and didn't react for a moment. After not speaking for more than 10 years, her vocal cords weren't used to it. She opened her mouth, but no matter how hard she tried, she couldn't make a sound. She was extremely anxious. Chapter 26:48. Sure Shuashin quickly whispered in her ear, "Mom, I'm Shuashin. You've been lying in bed for more than 10 years and can't speak for the time being. Let me tell you, okay? When you recover, we'll have many opportunities to talk." Sure Shuashin's mother, who was originally a little anxious, slowly calmed down. Her gaze fell on Tangguo again. "This is Miss Tang. She accompanied me to see you." Sure Shuashin was actually very happy, but she was afraid that the noise would attract the attention of the people outside. Compared to joy, she was more flustered now. How could she give her mother a good environment to recover? She was sure that the family wouldn't want her mother to wake up. Although she was very anxious and blamed herself for her incompetence, Sure Shuashin still couldn't suppress the joy of her biological mother waking up. "Mom, if it's possible, can you pretend that you haven't woken up in front of anyone else other than me? I promise, it's only temporary. I'll think of a way." Sure Shuashin didn't want to say anything to agitate Sure Shuashin's mother, but if her father and that woman found out about this, she was afraid that Sure Shuashin's mother would be in danger. Sure Shuashin's mother had completely calmed down. She also noticed that Tangguo had turned around and walked to the door of the ward, as if she was helping to keep an eye on her. Other than being a little anxious at first, she looked very calm now. Sure Shuashin initially tried to talk about what had happened all these years. Later, when she saw that Sure Shuashin's mother wasn't angry or agitated, she started to slowly add more important information. For example, how she grew up and what her cheap father and the mother and daughter had done all these years. She shouldn't have been so anxious, but she was afraid that the next time she came to see Sure Shuashin's mother, it wouldn't be so easy. Who knew if Yan Wei would suddenly go crazy and restrict her freedom again? If her father was vigilant and didn't give her a chance to see Sure Shuashin's mother alone, therefore, it was best to explain it all at once. During this time, no one came to the ward. Perhaps it was because this patient who hadn't woken up for more than 10 years, everyone thought that she wouldn't have a chance to wake up again. Shuashin hadn't come to see her for a long time, so she stayed for a long time. Mom, it's getting late. I should go. When I have the chance, I'll come to see you again. You must pretend that you haven't woken up, or I don't know what they will do. I promise, I'll think of a way to get you out as soon as possible. This time, Mother Shur gently lowered her head, and her slightly stiff hand held Shuashin tightly. Her finger drew on Shuashin's palm. Shuashin was surprised for a moment. Then, she felt that Mother Shur had written a string of numbers. She quickly recorded the string of numbers on her phone. At first, she thought it was a phone number, but when she saw the number at the beginning and the total number of digits, she hesitated. No matter what, she still saved a few copies of the numbers and nodded at Mother Shur, indicating that she had memorized it. There was a smile in Mother Shur's eyes. She couldn't speak yet, and she didn't want to do it right away. She wanted Shuashin to remember the string of numbers mainly because she was afraid that if something really happened, she wouldn't be able to tell her the string of numbers. Miss Tang, today is a very lucky day. Shuashin sat in the car and couldn't control her emotions. I'm starting to believe that Miss Shur's words are auspicious. What I've been hoping for has actually come true. System, little girl, do you know that the host used to be a koi fish? Chapter 2649. Even though Shuashin and the chauffeur were the only ones in the car, Shuashin subconsciously avoided mentioning her mother waking up. She only mentioned this to express that her wish had come true. When they returned to the manor, she followed Tangua back to the room and showed the string of numbers to Tangua. My mother wrote this string of numbers for me. It doesn't look like a phone number, but she wrote it to me when she woke up. It should be very important. Tangua glanced at the string of numbers and said softly, perhaps, this is still a phone number, but it's overseas. If it's a phone number from a certain country, it should be correct according to the digits in your phone. At the same time, Tangua communicated with the system. Is this old Master Chin's phone number? Dear host, wait, let me see. The system dug out a bunch of phone numbers from the various information it had previously found. They were all the people close to old Master Chin and some phone numbers related to him. Finally, it found a number. Dear host, I found it. This number was indeed the phone number of old Master Chin's personal butler. Why didn't she give old Master Chin's phone number directly? The system indicated that it didn't know this. There were probably many reasons. Is this really a foreign phone number? It should be. You can try it when you're free. Perhaps this number belongs to someone your mother trusts very much. Perhaps, it's someone you can ask for help from. In this case, didn't she not have to do anything and could just sit back and wait for everything to develop? Shuashin nodded. Then I'll try it when I'm free. Before that, Shuashin was still worried. The other party was overseas and she didn't know if she could really contact him. Even if she could he really help her after more than 10 years? Perhaps she could secretly move her mother out. Or perhaps she could borrow the tiger's power to move her mother to a safe place. But she was still a little afraid of asking a tiger for its skin. If she failed to borrow the tiger's power, she would be eaten until not even her bones were left. Shuashin tossed and turned for the whole night because of this matter. The next day, she appeared in front of Yan Wei with dark circles under her eyes. Recently, Yan Wei had been busy. Sometimes, he didn't even return to the manor at night. She was very free. After dinner, Shuashin sneaked over to Tangua's side. She watched Tangua draw and took the opportunity to ask which country the number belonged to. Tangwa naturally answered her, "Do you have any ideas?" Shi Shuashin sat closer and said softly, "I have a plan. Miss Tang, help me think about it and see if it's feasible." "What plan?" "I want to transfer my mother to this country first. Also, I might need to borrow some money from Miss Tang." Shi Shuashin was a little embarrassed. "It may take a long time to pay it back, but I've been working hard to learn new things recently. I'm not as good as Miss Tang, but I'll be able to pay it back slowly in the future. Also, I know that my mother still has a lot of shares in the Shi family. Once my mother moves out, there won't be anyone who can threaten me. Now that my mother is awake, I'll discuss it with her and see if we can sell those shares. We should be able to get a sum of money. Will you leave the country after your mother moves abroad and you sell the Shi family's shares and pay me back?" Shi Shuashin, Miss Tang's focus is really strange. Chapter 2650. I think so. Shi Shuashin knew that Tangguo wanted her to get out, but she still answered. She looked at Tangguo pitifully. "Miss Tang, do you really want me to leave your sight?" "Yes." Shi Shuashin thought, how hurtful. "I can lend you the money. Do you need me to arrange anything for you? For example, a reason for your mother to go abroad. You can even use Mr. Yan's name so that your father can't stop you." Shi Shuashin pouted. How could there be such a woman? In order to drive her away, Tangguo had borrowed money and put in effort. She even used Yan Wei a little. Luckily, Miss Tang was not a bad person. Otherwise, Tangguo might have used another method to make her disappear. She was sure that Tangguo had many ways to make her disappear. "Thank you, Miss Tang." Tangguo smiled and glanced at Shi Shuashin, who was reading. She was in a good mood. "The language you are learning is from that country. What a coincidence. It's all thanks to Miss Tang's reminder that a person has to have a skill. Even if time allows, I won't have the chance to learn other languages. However, I can learn a language anytime and anywhere. The internet is so convenient now. I don't have to worry about pronunciation problems. I heard you say that your pronunciation is good. You are very talented. It's rare to be praised by Miss Tang. The last time you praised me, you said that I was good at drawing paintings." Shi Shuashin blinked. If Miss Tang didn't like that scumbag, then he was a perfect person. System, the female lead is still a little silly. Why did the host recommend this international language to her? Wasn't it so that she wouldn't be clueless when she goes abroad in the future? As for the money, I will give you a card when the time comes. But, will you go with your mother or find someone else to do it? If I can sell my shares in advance, I might not go with my mother. Besides, Shi Shuashin had a lot to think about. She had thought about leaving before, but she didn't sell her shares. She would come back sooner or later. By then, not only would she have to face the Shi family, but she would also have to face Yan Wei. Perhaps Yan Wei would find him before he could even stay outside for a few days. If she went abroad, she would no longer be controlled by the Shi family. If Yan Wei found out where her mother was, wouldn't she be controlled by Yan Wei? Thinking about it, it was even more terrifying. Therefore, regardless of whether the shares were sold or not, she could not follow them. She had to find a way to hide her mother. At the very least, Yan Wei couldn't know where her mother was while she was recovering. Tangguo listened to Shi Shuashin's idea and didn't say anything more. Shi Shuashin had already thought it through. "Tongzi, have you contacted him?" "Dear host, I've managed to get in touch with you. We've already discussed the price." After the other party saw the information, they expressed their willingness to cooperate. The person Tangua asked the system to contact was a foreign expert who specialized in the treatment of vegetative patients. He happened to be in the country for an exchange. He used some means to get in touch with her. Furthermore, he listed out a set of information and passed it to the other party. The other party seemed to have agreed to this matter halfway through. Then, Shuashin could use this expert's name to transfer Shuashin's mother abroad. No one would be able to find out anything. When she was abroad, she could transfer her mother to Old Master Qin's country. No one would suspect anything. Chapter 2651. Actually, there was no need to go through so much trouble, but since it involved Shuashin's mother, Tangua could only do this. Otherwise, things wouldn't develop well. System, he felt that the host was playing more and more tricks after transmigrating to these worlds. She wouldn't care how much time it took to do these things. Tangua and Shuashin's plan was very successful. They didn't inform Yan Wei about this matter, nor did they ask him to step in. He didn't even know about this. He would only find out from Wu Dong that Shuashin would go to the hospital to visit her mother every few days. Wu Dong didn't even need to tell him about the news after that. How would he know that Tangua had hired a group of people and handed them to Shuashin? Shuashin very forcefully led this group of people and brought her mother out of the hospital. After sending her mother on the plane, her old classmate accompanied her. Originally, she didn't want to trouble him, but the other party came looking for her. She really didn't have anyone she could trust, so she could only ask him to help her with this matter. I won't say any more words of gratitude. You know that I might not be able to respond to you, but if you need any help in the future, Shuashin will definitely not refuse. Why are you saying this now? I've never thought of asking for your response. It's my honor to be able to help you. Don't worry, I'll take good care of Auntie Sher. Speaking of which, Auntie Sher was quite good to me when I was young. I should take good care of her no matter what. This was also one of the reasons why Shuashin was relieved. This person's family had a good relationship with her mother. Just like that, Shuashin's mother was sent away. By the time Shuashin's father reacted, it was too late. He couldn't help but call Shuashin. At that time, Shuashin was drinking coffee with Tangua in a coffee shop. She was in a good mood. After being scolded by the other party, she wasn't angry at all, nor was she as aggrieved as before. She looked up at Tangua, who was drinking coffee calmly. She sat up straight and elegantly stirred her coffee. After taking a small sip, she slowly said to the phone, "I was the one who transferred my mother overseas." Previously, an expert came who specializes in studying patients who become vegetative states. My mother hasn't woken up in the country for more than 10 years. This time, there's a special quota. No matter what, I have to try. She wasn't stupid enough to remind the other party that her mother was awake. She would talk to him about this when her mother was fully recovered and adapted to the current world. During this period, she had to grow up well. Her mother was slowly able to speak and had taught her a lot of things recently. She would take care of the Sher family slowly. You unfilial daughter. What if your mother is sent abroad and something happens? It's better than waiting to die in the hospital. Don't you want my mother to recover? Father Sher's expression was very ugly. Did Yan Wei help you? What trick did you use to charm Yan Wei and make him willing to help you? Shuashin didn't answer. Father Sher could guess whatever he wanted. It had nothing to do with her anyway. The doctors was to investigate to the hospital was to the hospital to the end to the hospitals for free. After hanging up the phone, Shuashin stuck out her tongue. Looking at Tangua's expressionless face, she sighed. This is the first time I dared to talk to him like this. When I was young, that woman would appear by his side. Whenever I made a fuss, he would threaten to pull out my father's oxygen tube. Chapter 2652. I want to take part in a competition and learn something useful. His precious daughter always threatens him to pull out my mother's oxygen tube. Ever since I was young, I didn't dare to perform too well. The more stupid and ugly I was, the better. The more pitiful I was, the happier the mother and daughter would be. As Shuashin spoke, she realized that Tang Guo was not moved at all. She said faintly, "Why would I say these things to an otherworldly fairy like you? You won't sympathize with me. It's good that you know." Tang Guo nodded gently, her eyes serious. "When are you going to sell the Shi family's shares?" Shuashin, "Then pay up and get out of the manor. This matter needs to be considered. It's not that simple. Also, we have to wait for my mother to recover. The shares are under my mother's name. She hasn't recovered yet, so doing this will be very tiring. Even if she has a lawyer to represent her, she still has to do some things. Anyway, I will do it as soon as possible." "Okay. Miss Tang." Suddenly, a voice rang in her ear. Tang Guo looked up and saw Bai Shuo walking towards her. He was still dressed casually and his smile was a little mischievous. He didn't look like a decent person, but in fact, when he was doing live broadcasts, he only gave people the impression that he was very eloquent and polite. Listening to him made people feel comfortable. "I thought I saw wrongly. It really is Miss Tang." Bai Shuo swore that this was really a coincidence. The place where he was doing his live broadcast was not far away. Just now, he saw many products sent by the brands and wanted to walk around to relax his eyes and have a cup of coffee to refresh himself. He didn't expect to meet Tang Guo here. There was also another woman. He also noticed that she looked familiar, but he directly ignored her. Since he didn't know her, it didn't matter whether he greeted her or not. She wasn't important. "You are doing a live broadcast today, right?" Tang Guo smiled. Shuashin thought she saw wrongly. She pursed her lips. Miss Tang must be so happy because she was thinking about selling all kinds of things with this man. Miss Tang only smiled when she was shopping. She didn't look like a fairy. "Yes, I was just trying out the product with the staff. But the content for tonight's live broadcast has already been prepared." There was a smile in Tang Guo's eyes. "No wonder I want to buy everything you sell. It turns out that you guys are choosing so carefully behind my back." Bai Shuo didn't know what to say. This was what it meant to want to buy everything. He bought everything, not leaving a single item behind. Actually, there are many things that you don't need to buy if you don't need them. Tang Guo took a sip of coffee and said, "I'm just buying it for fun. I'll buy it if I feel like it. It doesn't matter if I use it or not." Bai Shuo looked at Tang Guo's smile. Although it was very faint, he did not miss it. He felt that this smile was a little strange. No, it wasn't the smile that was strange. It was the smile that made him feel that he was in a strange position. It was as if he was being taken care of by a rich woman. Bah! Bai Shuo almost choked. How could he think of such strange things in his mind? It was too unbelievable. "I kind of want to take a look at your place of work. Is that okay?" Bai Shuo had no reason to refuse. Not to mention other things, just that Tang Guo was their big customer. No one would object. Shuashin followed Tang Guo to Bai Shuo's place of work. The moment she entered, she saw that the place was filled with neatly arranged goods. There were all kinds of brands, limited gift boxes, and small gifts. There were piles and piles of them as if they were free. Chapter 2653. Bai Shuo usually started his live stream at 8:30 p.m., but on Fridays, his live stream would start at 6 o'clock p.m. and continue until 12 o'clock p.m. He brought Tang Guo and Shi Shuoxin to his workplace and gave them a tour. He also introduced many brands to them and explained their strengths and weaknesses in detail. When it was almost 6 o'clock p.m., he said that it was time for the live stream. "It's okay, you can live stream. Can I watch from the side?" "Of course." Bai Shuo was not unhappy when he heard that Tang Guo wanted to stay and watch his live stream. Instead, he was very happy and the disappointment in his heart disappeared. After touching up his makeup, he sat in front of the camera in high spirits. Tang Guo was not far away and sat facing him. After Bai Shuo's introduction, everyone in the studio knew who Tang Guo was. She was the nouveau riche who bought everything their brother Bai sold. It turned out that this customer was not only a nouveau riche, but also a very beautiful woman. Shi Shuoxin was also shocked and kept whispering in Tang Guo's ear, "I've never seen so many branded products at once in my life. With your status as the eldest daughter of the Shi family, it's easy for you to see more than this." Shi Shuoxin's eyes dimmed. "Maybe I'm not worthy of being the eldest daughter of the Shi family. Then be the eldest daughter of the Qin family." Tang Guo's casual words made Shi Shuoxin remember. That's right. Since her cheap father didn't like her at all and didn't like her, he even used her mother to threaten her. Why did she have to be surnamed Shi? Her mother's surname was Qin. Shi Shuoxin secretly thought that when she had the chance, she would definitely change her surname. She didn't want to be surnamed Shi. System, host, you're awesome. Soon, the live stream began. Tang Guo took out her phone skillfully. The assistant in the studio was very smart and quickly took out a new phone holder and placed it in front of her. "Thank you." "You're welcome. Miss Tang, do you want to drink anything?" The assistant was full of smiles. This was their big client, the kind who spent money without batting an eyelid. They had to treat her well. "Warm water will do." Tang Guo glanced at Shi Shuoxin. "Give her a glass of Coke." "Sorry to trouble you." Shi Shuoxin smiled happily. It turned out that Miss Tang was not indifferent to everything. At least she knew that she liked cola very much. Bai Shuo's ears were very sharp. The live broadcast had just started and he hadn't promoted his products yet. His attention had been on Tang Guo. Although he shouldn't have done that, he still felt jealous that Tang Guo had asked for a cup of Coke for Shi Shuoxin. It was very sour as an unripe lemon. Just smelling it would make one's teeth fall off. When his assistant placed the list of products in front of him, he glanced at Shi Shuoxin, who was happily drinking her cola. His gaze lingered on the cola for a few seconds before he retracted his gaze. Bai Shuo looked at me just now. It was impossible for Shi Shuoxin not to notice such an obvious gaze. How strange. "Maybe it's because you're good-looking," Tang Guo said indifferently. System, women. He also felt that it was strange. He clearly knew what was going on, but he didn't say anything. Shi Shuoxin quickly shook her head. "I'm sure that Bai Shuo wasn't attracted by my beauty. In terms of beauty, I can't compare to Miss Tang." Shi Shuoxin leaned closer to Tang Guo and whispered, "I feel that the way Bai Shuo looked at me just now." Chapter 2654. I'm a little jealous. Shi Shuoxin hesitated for a moment before replying, although she suspected that she had seen wrongly. Tang Guo, the assistant. He would not argue with such a big client over such a small matter. No matter what the client said, he would pretend that he did not hear it, even if it was Brother Bai, whom he respected very much. When the first link appeared on the live stream, Tangwa did not disappoint the assistants who were secretly observing her. She decisively bought a copy. Basically, every time a link appeared, Tangwa would not miss it and would never fail to get it. They had also witnessed Miss Tang's speed. When the live stream continued until 9:00, Shuashin's phone rang. Seeing that it was an unmarked number, she subconsciously picked it up and heard a voice asking, "Where are you? It's so late. Why aren't you in the manor?" Shuashin's good mood instantly disappeared. "I'm outside." "Who are you with? Why aren't you back yet?" Yan Wei's tone was not very good. Perhaps it was because he remembered that his good friend was actually infatuated with Shuashin and the two of them had secretly met behind his back. Could it be that Shuashin was really indifferent to him because of him? The more he thought about it, the more Yan Wei's face darkened. "Where are you? I'll come and pick you up." Shuashin was a little frightened by his gloomy tone, but she quickly calmed down. "No need. I'll be right back." When Yan Wei came over, she did not know what he would do and bring unnecessary trouble to the people here. She could tell that Miss Tang and Bai Shuo seemed to have a good relationship. Yan Wei's temper was unpredictable. If he suspected that there was something between her and Bai Shuo, she would implicate another innocent person. "Miss Tang," Yan Wei called just now. "I might have to go back." Tang Guo looked up at Shuashin. "Are you going back now?" "Yes." Shuashin nodded and smiled a little reluctantly. "If I don't go back now, he will probably come and destroy this place." "Okay, you can go back then." "Miss Tang, I think I will have to live a life of misery for a while." "Have you seen it clearly? This is Yan Wei." Shuashin still didn't want to give up. She didn't want Tangwa to still be so loyal to Yan Wei after she left. Therefore, she did not ask Tangwa to go back with her. Instead, she wanted to let Tangwa see what Yan Wei would do to her. Tangwa watched Shuashin leave, but she didn't forget to grab the link. Even if she couldn't get it herself, the system would help her. How could Yan Wei be more important than supporting her future boyfriend? Her future boyfriend was someone she had raised with gold and silver. That Yan Wei was really not worthy. Host, Shuashin is going to suffer when she goes back. Moreover, she has a feeling of facing death with equanimity. Could it be that she is a masochist? She wants me to see the real Yan Wei. Tangwa didn't care. Shuashin didn't like Yan Wei, and Yan Wei wouldn't really kill her. Torturing her heart wouldn't work. In the end, Yan Wei was the only one who directed and acted in this scene. He was moved by his own feelings. All of Yan Wei's attention was diverted to where Shuashin went. Did she go on a date with that person? She gave him the cold shoulder because she had someone she liked. So, when Shuashin returned, Yan Wei pushed her into the room with a cold face. Chapter 2655. Shuashin was like a salted fish. When she looked at Yan Wei, there was neither fear nor sadness in her eyes. Instead, she looked as if she was going to be bitten by a dog and her face would be covered with saliva. This made Yan Wei feel as if he had eaten shit and was very unhappy. As for Tangwa, who hadn't returned to the manor, Yan Wei didn't even think about her. Now, he was busy being jealous and tormenting Shuashin. He asked Shuashin if she had gone to meet that person. He even asked her if she liked that person. It was because she liked that person that she ignored him. Shuashin naturally denied it and said no. Then, a new round of quarreling and tormenting began. This time, Shuashin was tormented more miserably. However, she still didn't resist at all, as if she didn't care at all. This made Yan Wei feel very defeated. In the end, he put on his clothes and left the manor. Before he left, he told Wu Dong to let Shi Shuoxin stay in her previous room and arrange more work for her. Shi Shuoxin, he is indeed a dog of a man. Tang Gui didn't pay attention to these exciting scenes. She had been shopping since the live stream started at 6:00 and ended at 12:00. Although she didn't introduce many products in total, each of them was expensive. Adding them up, she still made a lot of money. Bai Shuo was focused on the live stream. When the live stream ended, he realized that Tang Gui hadn't left yet. "Miss Tang, you haven't left yet. It's already midnight." Tang Gui's expression was indifferent. The corner of her lips curled up slightly. "I was so happy shopping today that I forgot the time." System, dear host, your nose will grow longer when you lie. Regarding this reason, everyone in the studio believed it. Tang Gui was happy to buy, and they were also very happy to sell. "Bai Shuo, it's so late. Is Miss Tang's driver still around?" Shi Shuoxin had something to do, so the driver sent her back. Tang Gui said honestly. So, there was no driver waiting for her now. Bai Shuo looked outside and crossed his index fingers. He said casually, "It's very late now. It's not safe for a girl to go home alone. Why don't I send you back to the manor?" "I'll have to trouble you then, host Bai." Everyone in the studio listened blankly as Bai Shuo instructed them to take care of things here. He wanted to send Tang Gui back to the manor first. Then, he left them in a hurry. "Don't you think that something is wrong with Brother Bai? She's such a big customer, and she's probably Brother Bai's female fan. Something's not right." "No, what I mean is, alright, let's hurry up and clean up. We still have to get up early tomorrow morning to do other things. Miss Tang, I don't know if I should ask you something." "What words?" Bai Shuo could no longer hold himself back. Now that he finally had the chance, he said, "As far as I know, Shi Shuoxin is the eldest daughter of the Shi family." Later on, something happened to the Shi family and Yan Wei had to stop to get through the crisis. Shi Shuoxin was sent to the Yan manor. "I might know more than others." Yan Wei seems to have taken a liking to Shi Shuoxin. Today, Shi Shuoxin left in a hurry because of Yan Wei. It was not appropriate to say these words, but in front of her, he just couldn't control himself. Perhaps it was because all his attention had been on this woman recently, so he had to investigate more. He didn't know how to express his feelings after knowing the truth. Chapter 2656. With Miss Tang's talent, why are you so constrained by the small Yan manor? He didn't directly say that with her beauty and talent, why did she choose Yan Wei and hang herself on this tree? Shouldn't such a perfect person like her deserve better? For example, a sentence suddenly flashed through Bai Shuo's mind and almost made him step on the brakes. Just now, the example in his mind was actually him. The complete meaning of that sentence was, for example, him. "Host Bai, I'm putting my life in your hands by sitting in your car. You're actually distracted while driving. This is disrespecting my life." Tang Gui's words calmed Bai Shuo down. He was both angry and amused. "I'm sorry, Miss Tang." After a pause, he said in a very serious tone, "Don't worry, Miss Tang. Since you've put your life in my hands, I promise I won't let anything happen to you. I won't let you be hurt at all. I swear on my life. It's not that serious." Of course it was. Bai Shuo thought to himself. Just now, he finally understood why his mind was full of her. When he saw her, she could only exist in his eyes. It turned out that it was because when they first met, she slowly ran into his heart and took root. He couldn't pull her out, and he didn't want to pull her out. When Bai Shuo wanted to say something, they had already arrived at the Yen Manor. "Miss Tang, we're here," he said reluctantly, his eyes never moving away from Tanghua. When she turned her head, he quickly averted his gaze. "Okay." Watching Tanghua slowly walk into the manor, Bai Shuo looked at her increasingly blurry figure and stood on the spot, feeling lost. He took out his phone and sent a message to Tanghua, "Miss Tang, your people won't let you go home so late, and they won't ignore you." Tanghua stopped and took out her phone. When she opened it, she saw this sentence. She lowered her head and pursed her lips into a smile. She replied, "I know." Bai Shuo looked at the 3 words and was a little puzzled. Since she knew, why did she still stay here? Suddenly, Bai Shuo mustered up some courage. "Miss Tang, if you can, you might as well turn back or look in another direction. Maybe you can find a different scenery. The trajectory of fate has changed. What was once together will become unimportant and welcome a new life." For example, he could forget about Yen Wei and see how he was doing. Bai Shuo's heartbeat quickened. He stared at the phone for a while, then at the small figure. When Tanghua saw this paragraph, she suddenly turned around and saw Bai Shuo's eager expression. The smile on her face widened. She held her phone and replied, "I just followed your instructions and changed directions." "Bai Shuo, how do you feel? Is there a different scenery?" "Tanghua, in front of me was a brightly lit manor. I changed my direction, but all I saw was darkness. I couldn't see anything." "Streamer Bai, there was no scenery like you said." "Bai Shuo, you can do that. Was there something wrong? Or was he not good at expressing himself?" At this time, Tanghua's message came again. She wrote, "Although it's dark and there's no scenery, I can see you." It was clearly not standing in a brightly lit place, but it made people yearn for it. When she was introducing products to Streamer Buy, people couldn't help but buy them. It was completely uncontrollable. Bai Shuo's expression changed from disappointment to disbelief. What did this mean? Chapter 2657. He quickly raised his head and saw Tanghua smiling at him. That smile was especially sweet, very different from her usual cold and aloof image. Then, she walked in with graceful steps. His hand trembled. Just as he was about to type a long paragraph to ask something, Tanghua's message came again. "Although I'm very happy with the shopping, I'm also very tired. Good night." Bai Shuo. He didn't want to say good night. What was it that she wanted to say? In the end, Bai Shuo sighed and deleted that long paragraph. Then, he came back and said good night. "System, great host, Bai Shuo is going to be ruined by you. You gave him some hope, but you also gave him a club. Who can take it? I didn't give him a club. I supported him and gave him a chance to come back with me. I even hinted so much. When did I give him a club?" The system thought about it carefully. Great host really didn't give Bai Shuo a club. She was always flirting with him. Tanghua returned to the manor. Naturally, she didn't sleep. When she entered, she saw Shi Shuoxin mopping the floor. She walked in front of Shi Shuoxin and glanced at her. "Mopping the floor again?" "Yes." Shi Shuoxin nodded calmly and mopped the floor seriously. "Not only that, but there's also a lot of things to wash. The room has also been moved to the utility room." When she said this, Shi Shuoxin didn't sound wronged at all. She already knew what kind of person Yen Wei was and had expected this. Tanghua sat beside her and said faintly, "So, you should think of a way to leave the manor as soon as possible." Otherwise, you'll continue to suffer like this. Mr. Yen and you are actually not compatible. Miss Tang is right. We are not compatible in the first place. I will never like someone like him. Even if I like a dog, I won't like someone like him who has no taste and a weird temper. Also, Shi Shuoxin replied nonchalantly as she mopped the floor. Just as she was about to say that she also thought that Miss Tang and Yen Wei were not compatible, footsteps sounded behind her. She wasn't frightened. She turned around instinctively and saw Yen Wei walking in from outside. It turned out that Yen Wei had instructed Wu Dong to let Shi Shuoxin do those things, so she might not be able to rest for the entire night. The weather was not too hot now. She was exhausted from the night and had used cold water. If she fell sick again, she would have to stay in the hospital for a few days. Therefore, he turned back, intending to let Shi Shuoxin suffer first and then give in to him. He didn't expect to hear such words. Naturally, he also heard what Tanguo said before. Now, he was not angry with Tanguo, nor did he care about what she said. In fact, he could accept what she said. After all, he was speaking from her perspective. Moreover, Yen Wei also felt a sense of comfort. Being despised by Shi Shuoxin like this, he was about to start doubting his life. But Tanguo's persistence made him understand that this was Shi Shuoxin's problem. Shi Shuoxin's words angered him. From now on, you will be the lowest servant in the manor. Yen Wei looked at Shi Shuoxin coldly and even called Wu Dong over. Mopping the floor and washing clothes is not something a lowly servant like you can do. The muscles on Wu Dong's face twitched. He looked at Shi Shuoxin with some sympathy. The woman who caught Mr. Yan's eye was really lucky and miserable. In the end, Yen Wei arranged a task for Shi Shuoxin. You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.